Hey, everybody, in this episode of the GH Report, we've got a lot going on. We got Laura and Kevin finally reunited, Drew and Jason both going blind, and Anna realizing her memories may not be her own. We're going to break it all down next.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the GH Report right here, breaking down all the latest shenanigans in Port Charles. I'm your host, Franco Jordan, usually my wonderful and talented co-host, and the reason you really do watch this show, Carla Renata, is usually here. She's busy tonight dealing with some of the Oscar festivities that are happening, so we were doing a live stream. She's also going to be breaking down the Oscars afterwards as well, so make sure you check her out on AfterBuzz, breaking down all the latest in the Oscar news and all the award winners and losers. But in the meantime, though, folks, it'll be just you and I for a brief bit of time talking about the latest goings-on. So, as always, like us on Facebook, give us 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hop in the chat. Start sharing away your thoughts and opinions about anything that I happen to mention, or, anything that you folks feel like you want to chat along amongst yourselves there in the chat. So as we'll jump right into it, probably the biggest thing that I was excited about this week, hopefully you felt the same way too, is that we finally get to see Kevin and Laura reunited. Holy cow, it certainly took a long time. But of course, Laura, what I did like is at least we didn't drag it out where she only saw like the back of Kevin's head at Ferncliff, laying there with his back towards her as she was peering in through the door to his room that he's tucked away in. So luckily they were able to make that connection. Of course, Kevin being blind can't really see Laura but can hear her, and even though Laura thought that Ryan had left, what it is about Ryan, he just always, whether he knew that he was being followed or he just thought like, maybe I should just go back and gloat at Kevin one last time. For whatever reason, though, he was able to sneak back and get the drop on Laura and knock her out and take both her and Kevin down to like an abandoned or at least very neglected area of Ferncliff. It's kind of in the bowels of the building, someplace that people rarely, if ever, go to. And I was going to stash them there until hopefully they just, I guess his plan is they starve to death. But it's not going to be that easy because, of course, Laura's the mayor. And so people are going to be expecting her to be around. So he's got to try to maintain the illusion that Laura is constantly busy doing something. And that is why she's not there at certain key things like the Franco's arraignment, to be there to support Lulu, things like that. But regardless, it was really nice to see Kevin and Laura reunited. But what I did like is that Kevin at no point mentions the fact that, it's really my fault this is all happening because I rescued Ryan, or I found Ryan, whatever the circumstances were after his supposed death, and have been trying to potentially rehabilitate him this whole time. When even Laura says, you must have been shocked when you realized Ryan was still alive. That must have been how he got the drop on you. And Kevin really doesn't say anything. So I am waiting for that particular shoe to drop. And I'm also curious, why he wasn't completely honest with Laura in that moment. I mean, you may as well be at that point. What do you have to lose? But he kind of held back that little bit of nugget. So I will be curious to see what happens when he finally does say, oh, yeah, these people are dead because I thought I could rehabilitate Ryan. And I'll be curious to see how they break this all down, when exactly he did find Ryan and brought him to Port Charles, when all that stuff down. Whether we get those specific answers, I don't know. But I would be curious to hear a little bit more details in terms of how Kevin and Ryan got reunited in the first place. But again, it is still great just to see at least Kevin and Laura together. And even though Kevin can't see, they are still at least, and their lives are in danger, it is nice to see them together, and it feels like they're really enjoying that time. And even though, it is Ryan who's a complete sociopath and a murderer, I do like that Kevin is still standing up to him and still playing games with him as well too, to try to throw him off his kind of superior footing there, and hopefully get him caught so that Laura and Kevin can get free. But of course, what nobody else knows is that Ryan is really Kevin, and Kevin, as Ryan as Kevin, decides to profess to Ava, like, you know what, I love you, and I'm serious, and we should get married. And Ava initially like, should we do this? I mean, you are, after all, married still. And Ryan immediately corrects that, gets that taken care of, gets Laura to sign those divorce papers. And I do like when he goes down to the basement there and gets Laura to sign the papers. It says, hey, I've got a weapon. I'm stronger than you. I can take care of you. Don't worry about it. And of course, Kevin can't see because he's blind, given the circumstances of the virus. But Kevin, of course, or Ryan will just, he'll squat down, put his back to Kevin. He kind of glances back just to check, but he feels like absolutely no qualms at all about being in a precarious situation. He feels like he's got everything right in the palm of his hands. So I'll be curious to see when he gets his comeuppance, and it feels like it's going to be happening fairly quickly because he does get the divorce paper signed. He and Ava now are starting to go on the path of getting married. And I'll be curious to see how far they go with that before the truth does come out. Because usually when you announce a wedding, it's almost guaranteed that the day of the wedding itself is when everything's going to blow up and things are going to happen. I will be curious to see if they actually get that far, because I imagine Ryan, as Kevin, is going to want the quickest wedding as possible so that way he can get Ava and then hopefully convince her to get the heck out of Port Charles, even though she's not going to want to because, she's got Avery still around. But he may try to at least kind of draw her away, at least for an extended honeymoon, hopefully in the thoughts that, you know what, if she's out of Port Charles, on the pretense of a honeymoon, maybe then I can convince her once we're in a kind of romantic, cool destination to then not want to go back to Port Charles. Well, we'll see how far that goes. So I will be curious to see how close they get to the actual wedding ceremony and who's the one that ultimately exposes that Ryan has been posing as Kevin. Whether it is Ava figuring it out, whether it is Ryan unintentionally blurting it out, whether it's Lulu's memory fully coming back because she's starting to have bits and pieces start to come back, or is it going to be Laura and Kevin escape somehow and are able to notify people? So, or will it be anything about like this? The most remote chance will be anything about this twin storyline, whether that's going to lead to anything. But I've been liking where the storyline's going, and finally we just got a little bit of forward momentum with Kevin and Laura being reunited. So it does make me feel like the storyline is quickly coming towards a conclusion. But I mentioned, why Ava was in the courthouse when Ryan proposed to her is that there was the arraignment of Franco and Jordan's great plan, where she wants Franco to confess to all these murders, thinking that, oh my gosh, the real killer was going to be so angry that you've stolen the spotlight from them that he will be forced to make another move, and that's when we catch him. And so far, it does not seem like that's going to play out. Jordan wants Franco to also talk to a reporter to start breaking down and bragging about these kills to a reporter and how all this went down. Maybe if Ryan reads that, that's when you finally start to see him get outraged about what Franco's trying to do. Because so far, just Franco admitting in court that, hey, yeah, I did kill all these people. Ryan was like, whoa, all right, well, looks like this is all closed up. There's no sense of like, oh yeah, wait, he admitted to my murders. So as of right now, Ryan is feeling like this is great. So whether it's Franco's bragging about these murders is what's going to really start sticking in Ryan's craw or not, I don't know. But Jordan, though, does to get Franco on his side by saying, all right, yes, you want to be able to prove your innocence to the world. And by saying you're guilty now, you're helping to catch the real killer, and you're going to be exonerated in front of everybody. Everybody's going to know that you did this to help bring the true killer to justice. And Franco is in for it, but he has one caveat. He wants to tell Elizabeth. They just got married. She's been the one that's always believed in him, and he doesn't want to do this to her. And Jordan says nobody can know because it would put them in too much danger. I don't know. I feel like this is a typical soap trope where you got a character put into such a situation where they feel like they cannot tell the truth to somebody that they've promised to always tell the truth to, and you put them in that sort of impossible situation. And I guess Franco, there's a lot of dubious and circumstantial evidence that I don't know if given Franco's past history, that the judge would seek to be more like, yep, clearly this person's guilty. I mean, our good old DA Dawson there, she's pretty much convinced that this is an easy win for her. And I don't know, I feel like there's still too much circumstantial evidence that I don't know if Franco just said, like, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna go with my gut and just go with the court proceedings and see what happens. I don't know if he would have been convicted guilty. It would have been curious to see how that would have played out. I would love to have seen Scotty get some stuff to really sink his teeth into, to try to prove to everyone that his son was not the person that was behind these murders. Because all they really have is no real concrete alibis for where Franco was during any of these murders, and they've got those driver's licenses that have no DNA evidence, no fingerprints or anything on them. They have those two things, but that's it. I mean, you also have Franco's history as well, but they also went through this big thing back when they had the brain tumor removed that basically just cleared him of all those crimes, that it was the brain tumor that was behind it all. So even though people hate Franco, I don't know if that would have still been enough to convict him. But regardless, he does feel the pressure to, or at least have that worry, and the way Jordan is selling it onto him, that he agrees to go with Jordan's plan. So he says that he's guilty. Elizabeth feels betrayed, gives him a nice slap, throws wedding rings down on the ground. Ava still can't believe that what Franco's saying is true. Franco is sentenced to Ferncliff, or at least for testing. And that's when Jordan says, you got to find somebody from the media and tell your story to really take claim for these crimes. So we see what happens to Jordan at the end of the week, though. She gets taken out by Drew when he goes blind, thanks to that twin virus, and smashes into Jordan. And so Jordan is going to be laid up in the hospital. As always, when somebody goes into an impossible situation, whether it's undercover, more often than not, it seems like to be like somebody has to go into prison to pose as a prisoner, and no one else can know that you're really a member of law enforcement, or you're this part of this special secret organization. Only I, like the warden, or I know about this. And then of course the warden gets incapacitated, and so there's nobody else to vouch for this one person. Now that this person stuck in the prison fighting for their life for real. That trope I've seen so many times, and so you already saw where this was coming a mile away when Franco said, like, yeah, all right, I'll cop to pleading guilty for this in hopes of trying to find the real killer. You knew it was going to bite him in the butt, and so Jordan gets knocked out, the only one who knows everything, and so everybody's going to be looking at Franco as the real culprit for this. I do feel like there's Curtis, even though he doesn't know, at least from what Jordan said, that nobody else knows, but I feel like Curtis and her have had enough conversations about Franco's like the lack of evidence towards Franco and Franco's seeming innocence, because why would he kill Kiki? That made no sense. That if Franco were to at least be able to communicate with Curtis, I feel like Curtis would be able to, even though he'd have no official say in this, at least know what the deal is and try to be able to help Franco out that way. We'll see what happens now with because he may certainly be too distracted with Jordan being in critical condition to worry about anything else other than how Jordan's going to do. So I did mention, though, what happened to get Jordan in that accident, though, and that was because our boy Drew finally suffered the twin virus there and went blind while he was driving a car in the parking garage of General Hospital there, and took out Jordan. At the same time, though, our boy Jason, the twin of Drew, gets taken out by that same virus as well. And I feel like this is the only time that we've seen the twins taken out at the same time. I feel like we got the reveal once Ryan went down that he went to Ferncliff and then found out that Kevin was blind. So I feel like those two probably happened at the same time. I will be curious to see if Anna and Alex also happened at the same time as well, too. I guess that's the thing with twins, so that this virus it kind of goes off at the same time for both twins. There's really no other kind of like one twin might get it first, and then a few days later or even weeks later, the other twin might succumb. It seems, at least right now, to be tied pretty much to when one twin gets it, the other twin gets it as well. So Drew gets it, hits Jordan. Jason gets it while he's in a lighthouse following Shiloh and Sam. And for some reason, I like Shiloh, man. He's just so creepy about all this. Well, first, Shiloh's creepy, and I don't know why he felt like he needed to take Sam to go see this sunrise at this lighthouse, so that once the sunrise lifts, you'll finally understand your true path. And take Sam there, but like realizing like, it's not that late at night and we've got to stay all the way to the morning. And even though Shiloh knows that Monica's watching Sam's kids, it's like, well, the kid's grandmother's watching them, right? So you should be fine. Like, yeah, but dude, that's still a really big ask to tell somebody. Like, hey, yeah, do you mind just going to this lighthouse? And oh, by the way, we got to stay here all the way till sunrise so you can see the supposed enlightenment. So you felt like Sam was already like, how do I get out of this, but still try to pretend that I'm really interested in Shiloh? Well, that's all going to go bust because now that they found Jason crumpled down to the bottom of the stairs after he went blind, I feel like Sam's going to be her part of this counter trying to scam Shiloh is now going to be revealed. And, I feel like I've got nobody to blame but Jason on this one because Jason was so adamant, like, I don't want to leave you alone with Shiloh. I know something's bad with Shiloh. That the fact that he went up those stairs, like he tailed so close. I mean, he's got the phone that has Sam's GPS in it so he can track her anywhere. But why did he need to go all the way up there to the top? I guess he was worried about Sam, but I felt like, Sam was in no danger of being hurt by Shiloh. I don't know, whatever Shiloh wants of Sam, it doesn't feel like he's using this as an opportunity to murder her at all or anything. It wasn't like he's going to take her to the top of the lighthouse and then push her off or anything like that. So I don't know why Jason was like so adamant about being so close. I thought when he was following her, like, oh, the phone's all set up to follow her. Like, I thought he'd be like waiting outside in a car or something like that outside the lighthouse. I didn't realize he'd be like just, 20, 30 feet behind them. That's how far he was staying away, kind of monitoring the situation. But we'll see now that they've crumpled down to the bottom of the stairs. Hopefully he's going to be fine. He'll get the surgery and everything will be great. But it'll be curious to see what Shiloh's next move is when he finds out that Jason and Sam are still close. Although I feel like Sam, if she was smart, the only thing she'd have to do is like, I told Jason we were done, and he's still following us. There's a way that she could spin it that maybe makes Shiloh believe that what she's saying is true, that Jason was following them out of jealousy and rage and was trying to eliminate Shiloh because he saw Sam falling for Shiloh and didn't want Sam to do that. He wanted Sam for herself. Maybe? I don't know. I don't think Sam's going to be that smart to be able to spin that with Shiloh. So I feel like that's what I would do. I would make it seem like Jason was way too jealous and blame it all on Jason. Yeah, we'll see what happens. So of course we've got Jason, we've got Drew laid up there, but we've got our other twin, Anna, who does find out they get the surgery there for the doctor. They start finding out more of the backstory about this virus and the memory mapping. Dr. Cabot's process and theories were something that Andre Maddox kind of took and extrapolated out to do the memory mapping that he did with Drew and Jason. And it looks like Anna again gets confirmation that some of the memories that she's had in her life aren't going to be hers. They're really going to be Alex's, which has led, we feel like it kind of confirms what everybody's been saying about people finding out that, or Peter finding out that Alex is his real mother and not Anna. So, yeah, that'll be curious to see if that gets the official confirmation for that. Let's see if that happens. Gosh, man, time is flying here. Folks, you know what I want to say? Because I've already talked a lot here. But you know what? Before we finish up on a couple other topics that I want to talk about, I just want to say thank you there for making us the ESPN and TV Talk. And for us to continue to grow, you know what? We could use your help. So if you're on YouTube right now, just hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. And if you're on iTunes, we could really use that 5-star rating. But no matter where you are, leave us a comment so you can get involved in the conversation. Being a part of AfterBuzz has meant so much to not only me, but everybody else who does it. And we really appreciate all the support you're giving us and letting us do something that we love so much. So don't forget to tell your friends, and thanks for watching our shows. So speaking of love and support there, we've got Carly and Sunny. Carly's pregnant. Little Valentine's Day reveal there to Sunny. And so they're already going for the tests. Carly's, Sunny's already being on Carly, like, you got to dial back the stress. You got to pass off some of your work to Olivia. You can't get into heated arguments or anything. And Carly's not really wanting to tell anybody else. Doesn't really want to tell Jocelyn that she's pregnant for fear of anything going wrong. So I feel like this baby's not going to make it. That it's going to be something that's going to be. I feel like it's going to be a part of the Ryan thing. I think it's going to be a way that during all this, Ryan is going to try to do something to Carly, and she's going to end up losing that baby. I feel like that's going to still be the case. So we'll see what happens there. We also see Sonny, though, finding out that he's also got some problems there with Dante, as Robert tells him that Dante has kind of gone rogue now. Even they don't know where he is. He's no longer WSB kind of sanctioned for this. He's somewhere in Turkey, probably in a Turkish prison there. And maybe we know our boy Duke. He spent time in a Turkish prison between those times that he was separated for Anna. So Sonny may remember that and maybe seek out Anna for any advice on how to get into a Turkish prison. But hopefully we're going to see at least some sort of rescue operation to get our boy Dante back home, at least for a little bit, whether it's just to kind of close off that storyline. I mean, I feel like for Dante, I mean, we know Dominic is coming back, but nobody knows for how long. I think, and I have not seen any news about him coming back for a lengthy amount of time, so I feel like this might be a very short trip, and I feel like it could be a lot of fallout between Dante and Lulu, and whether that means that they get separated, I don't know, but unless they're planning on recasting the role at some point, I don't know what this means actually for the Dante and Lulu relationship. But clearly, at least they're doing something to advance the storyline a little bit, because how long can you have Dante just out there somewhere in limbo on this WSB mission? So who exactly finds him? Whether it's going to be Sonny, whether it's our boy Brick, whether it's going to be Robert and out there on a mission there, and they happen to come across Dante. Who knows exactly who will be finding him, but he's at least going to get brought home at some point, and then we'll see what he and Lulu decide to do with their relationship at that point. We also have Peter and Sasha and Maxie. Maxie's got her DNA sample there from Sasha, being very smart. I do like seeing kind of Maxie and Valentine, even though Valentine's not realizing yet, but coming into this battle of matching wits there and trying to figure out what the real deal is about Sasha, and is she really Nina's daughter or not? And it's coming from, I feel, a very loving place from Maxie's part, because she does not want to see Nina being taken advantage of by Valentine, which, at least from Nina's point of view, she's not. She's going into this, what she thinks eyes wide open. She's excited. She feels like Valentine is on the up and up this time. And I feel like the first indication that it's probably not the best move is when everybody, she mentions this too, that her and Valentine are getting married again. Nobody's like, yay! Everybody's like, really? You're doing this again? All right. Good luck. So I think if I was doing something where everybody that I mentioned it to didn't like it and was trying to actively talk me out of getting married to this person, I might take a second to kind of really question, like, am I the odd one? Because I can't be, if everybody else is telling me I'm making a big mistake, there's got to be something to that. But Nina, she's bullheaded. She's sticking to her own thoughts, which sometimes could be great, but in a time like this is not great, and it's only going to be more sad when this whole thing blows up and Sasha's real identity is revealed. And even if for some reason, somehow, some way, he's able to kind of maintain that relationship, that connection with Nina, as soon as the Cassandra thing comes out, which I feel like it's going to be happening sometime soon if they're playing up the whole Alexis and the Cassadine family storyline, the Cassadine family storyline is going to be kind of taking a little bit more forefront. That's going to blow up in his face. So there's really no hope, I feel like, for Nina and Valentine. So I don't even think they're going to make it to a second wedding. I don't think. I think it's going to blow up in their face before then. But if you think otherwise, let us know there in the comments there. Come on, chime in away. But ladies and gentlemen, I feel like this is a kind of a short episode because it's just been me rambling to you on a Sunday night talking about all things Port Charles. So there might be some details that I missed here, but we'll go and explore those much more in depth next week when my co-host Carla's back with me here. But we want to make sure we talked a little bit about stuff because we love having you guys watching the show, and we couldn't do the show without you watching and chiming away in the comments and sharing your thoughts and opinions as well. So we want to make sure we, as best as we can, that we're always here every single week doing a show for you because you love the show as much as we do, and we love the opportunity to get to talk about it, and we're glad that we get to talk about it with you. So until next week, folks. Thanks for joining us. Like us on Facebook. Give us those 5 stars on iTunes. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you, everybody, for hopping in the chat. We will see you back here next Sunday night for an all-new episode of the GH Report right here on AfterBuzz TV. In the meantime, folks, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. Follow Carla Renata as well at The Curvy Critic. See all her Oscar stuff that she's doing this evening as well. And we'll see you next Sunday night right here on AfterBuzz TV.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.